right, good afternoon, everybody. If we could get our seats, and we're going to get started. Wanted to say welcome to everybody. We're glad you're here. I usually ask this, but I think I know the answer here because I see a lot of new faces. Are there anyone here for their very first time, or maybe haven't been here in a while? Yeah, we've got a good group of new people or new faces here, or some faces that have been here in the past and came back. So we appreciate that. We're glad you're here today. I know a lot of you are here probably to see some wonderful speakers, and maybe you know Maggie and Samantha, so we're happy you're here. They're going to share some good information today. So my name is Jim Uziel. I help kick off the meetings each month, and I'm part of the LA2M organization. We are a nonprofit organization that is staffed by volunteers, and we are in our 8th year of being an organization sharing. Okay, so we're kind of having technical difficulties here. Let's see if it goes back on. There we go, we're back on. Okay, I will see to get this fixed before we get started with the speakers. So we're in our 9th year of being an organization and sharing marketing tips with each other, and it's one of the reasons we come together each month, and the goal of the organization is to bring in great speakers who share their knowledge in marketing. We all work for or have our own companies where we wear multiple hats, and keeping up with a lot of things that are ever changing in the digital and especially in the digital side of marketing is a hard thing to do. So it is our goal each month to share that information and bring you speakers that can that have done it and can share their information with you. So we're really looking forward to today's topic. Social media is obviously huge for all of us, not just in our personal lives, but in our business lives. And social media is growing exponentially in business. And it's a lot of people use social media to find and to promote business. So I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of great things and things we can do in social media today. So like I was saying, LA2M is a nonprofit organization. We're run by volunteers. And if you are interested or like the organization, would like to be involved with the organization, please see me. We always can use extra people to help out with the organization. We volunteer our time. Carter from Frog Print Studios volunteers his time as photographer and puts the pictures up on our Facebook page. George is here today volunteering his time and filling in for Rayle, who does the video. We normally live stream, but we've had a lot of problems with the signal here. So what we've been doing is taping the sessions, and we put them up on our website. So if you hear some things in today's session, you can always, usually by middle of next week, we'll have the session on our website, LA2M.org. So you can go back and look at it, as well as all previous talks are posted on our website as well. So feel free to do that. Go to LA2M.org, visit it. We got a lot of good information there. If you are on social media, please hashtag LA2M, check in here, that'd be great. We'd appreciate the love on social media. Both we're on Instagram and Twitter, so we would appreciate that, and Facebook. So post some pictures, tag us, we would love it. So let's see. The other way our organization grows is through sponsorship. If you or your businesses would be interested in sponsoring a session at LA2M, please see me. We have a monthly, biannual and annual opportunities for sponsorship, and what that does is it allows you to be a part of all of our email campaigns that go out. We have about 2,200 qualified marketing professionals on our email list. We don't send junk emails out, so it's just emails specifically about the organization and about marketing topics, as well as promoting our sponsors. So if you're interested in that, please see me. I'd be happy to talk to you about that. Before I forget, and I will say it again at the end, we are not going to have a December meeting. Our December meeting is going to be moved until January. Conor O'Neill's has a lot of opportunities here at the holiday season, so they have asked us if it'd be possible to skip December's meeting. So we've agreed to that, so I just want to mention that now. I'll mention it again before we leave today, and it'll go out in the emails as well for December. But there is no December meeting. There will be a January session. And then lastly is our format for today. So I'm going to hand the microphone, hopefully the microphone, over in a minute, or I'll get the batteries changed in it. May have to just talk loud for a few minutes, ladies, while I get this fixed. Maggie and Samantha are going to talk for about 30 minutes or so, and then we will spend some time at the end for Q&A. So if you do have questions as we go along, maybe write them down, and then when we get to the end, the ladies will be happy to answer your questions and maybe someone else is thinking the same thing, so please ask some questions at the end. And then in the last 15 minutes, as long as hopefully the microphone is working, we will pass the microphone around, and everybody will have an opportunity to stand up, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, and then just pass the microphone on. You don't have to talk, you can just pass the microphone by if you're a little shy about talking to the microphone. But the opportunity here is to get to know each other and network. So we'd like you to stick around afterwards. Maybe you'll see someone from an organization that you want to talk to, and we hope that you guys can connect. That's the other goal of our business, is to help you guys connect and do business together. So that being said, I don't want to spend any more time and take it away from why you're really here. You're not here to hear me speak. You're here. I'd like to welcome Samantha and Maggie from the Alzheimer's Association, the Great Lakes chapter. Did I say that correctly? So we appreciate them being here. They're going to spend about the next 30 to 40 minutes talking about social media tips. And if you would please put your hands together and welcome Samantha and Maggie.
Hi everybody. I used to do community theater and we were really low tech. We didn't have mics, so I'm good at projecting. Can you all hear me okay? All right, cool. So I'm Samantha West, and Maggie Gibbons and I work together at the Alzheimer's Association. I'm the chapter's communications director, and Maggie is the senior walk lead for our chapter. Our chapter covers about 23 counties in Michigan, and so I'm doing all of the marketing, PR, and communications for that entire area, as well as working with other chapters nationwide to set different branding standards and social media goals and things like that. So I think this is a really helpful topic. Just by show of hands, how many of you are either from or work for or work with nonprofits? Okay, cool. So we've got a fair number of you in the room. Really what we're here today to do is we want to help you help more people by taking your social media game to the next level. So what we hope to cover today is we're going to talk a little bit about how you can generate great social content, some tips and tricks of how you can do more with less time and money, and Maggie's going to share some real-world examples of social media for nonprofits that we've used and that we've found successful for our organization. So I just like to start with this quote that I really like by author Seth Godin that says, "Turn strangers into friends, turn friends into donors, and then do the most important job, turn your donors into fundraisers." And I'd like to propose that social media is a way that you can do just that. Some things that I've noticed: I spent about 7 years working in the for-profit world doing marketing and communications before I came to the Alzheimer's Association close to 4 years ago now. And I noticed a couple of some differences between marketing for a for-profit versus marketing for a nonprofit. And when you work for a for-profit, typically you have at least some designated marketing budget that's available to you to work with. You usually have at least one dedicated person or team who are able to help with marketing and communications. But the challenge that you face as marketers is that it's a little bit harder to get buy-in. Your challenge is trying to make people care or invest in the product or service that you have to offer. As a nonprofit, you sort of have the opposite situation. The buy-in is super easy. You find anyone on the street and you tell them what it is that you do at your nonprofit, and they're going to say, "Oh, that's so great, thank you for what you do," or "That's affected me too," or "That's awesome, thank you so much." So you have that easy buy-in when you talk to people, which also results in some really passionate evangelists for your cause, which is also a really wonderful tool that you have at your disposal. But you typically have a very low, if any, marketing and advertising budget at the nonprofit level, and you typically have a lack of time and staff that are dedicated to actually making these things happen. So I think that social media is your secret weapon that can kind of step in and help you because it's really cost effective, it's really targetable, and if you plan it out and you do it right, you really don't have to invest a ton of time and energy into making it a successful tool for you. So a couple of statistics that I'll share with you. 83% of Americans have a social media account, which is actually more Americans than own cars, which is kind of crazy these days, but it's true. And 84% of social users share to show their support for a cause, to express to other people that they are passionate about this cause and that they want to connect with other people about it. And then I love this statistic: 35% of all dollars raised in nonprofits and fundraising come from social media. That's a really big portion of the pie. So if you're not on social media, you're probably missing out on some donor dollars as well as the opportunity to engage with some people who might be really excited about talking about your cause. So one of the most frequently asked questions that I get from people is, what social networks should I be on? And the easy answer to this question is the ones that your target audience is on. There's a link here that I will leave up for a second if you want to write it down or if you want to take a picture of it with your phone. Sprout Social has this really great tool where you can look at the various demographics of different social channels, and you can find out like whether or not, you know, people who are in your audience are on Instagram or on Snapchat, and make sure that you're investing your time wisely with those channels that your audience is actually on. So I would definitely recommend that you check that out and just kind of take a look at that data and make sure that you're in line with that. And then the second answer to that question I typically share is the ones that you'll actually be able to post to regularly. You could theoretically be on like 5 or 6 different social channels, but I mean, if you're like me and you work in a nonprofit where you don't have a huge team of people that you're working with, you don't have a lot of time because you're doing a lot of other things, it's just not practical for me to be posting to 7 different social networks consistently and creating good content on all of them. So my advice to you would be, post to the number of networks that you feel that you can actually commit to creating good content on a regular basis. It's about quality over quantity. So if you feel like you only have the time to be able to create really good content on 2 social networks, that's fine. That's exactly what you should be doing. You don't have to feel like, but I think everyone's on Snapchat, and so I feel like I need to be on Snapchat. I mean, if your audience is on Snapchat, then maybe you should be, but I would just say make sure you're prioritizing depending on how much time you have. At the very least, though, I would encourage you to be on Facebook. It is by far the most ubiquitous out of all of the social networks. It is the most used social media site among all age groups, used by about 64% of Americans 12 and up. And unlike some of the other social networks, there's actually a very low rate of attrition as that group ages. So, with Twitter and Instagram, you find that the highest number of users are under the age of 30, and then it starts to go down incrementally, every 10 years or so of age after that. With Facebook, it remains strong all the way up until you get to about 65, and then it starts to taper off a little bit. But Facebook is one of those channels that's still relevant among all ages. And then as a nonprofit, I love this statistic. 90% of all dollars raised by millennials through social media comes from Facebook. So a lot of people think millennials, they're not on Facebook anymore, they're on some of these other networks. But guess what? Their parents and their coworkers and all of the people that they're asking for money are. So that's where they're going to be to ask for those donations and to ask for involvement in the causes that they believe in. So I would encourage you to make sure that you spend some time on Facebook. One thing that I'd like to share about our nonprofit, Facebook is by far the #1 website referral source for donations for the Alzheimer's Association. And it's been that way for the last couple of years. It's also the most cost-effective for us in terms of return on investment for our advertising dollars, and I'll talk a little bit about paid advertising briefly at the end. But it has by far been the lowest cost per click for us out of any other type of advertising that we've done. The other question I often get asked is, how often should I be posting? And again, I would just say consistency is key, like I said a minute ago. If you're fairly new to Facebook, and by fairly new, what I mean is like maybe you have 100 to 200 followers or less, you can probably start with posting once every other day. Once you get above that 1 to 200 followers, I would suggest that you try to post once a day if you can do that. On Twitter, you can post up to 3 tweets per day, and if you're thinking, oh my god, how am I going to think of 3 different tweets to tweet every single day? The good news about Twitter is because content expires fairly quickly, you can actually recycle that content. So if you've tweeted something a couple of weeks ago, you can probably tweet that tweet again and reach a totally new segment of your audience. So you can recycle some of that content on Twitter. On Instagram and Pinterest, there have been studies that show that there's no direct connection between posting frequently and seeing engagement drop off. So really, you can post as many times a day as you want, as long as you're consistent. But again, I would just encourage you to try once a day or once every other day as you're getting started and just see how that works for you. With LinkedIn, a good frequency is once per day if you can commit to doing that. And then with Google+, I would just say follow the Facebook rules. Whatever you're creating on Facebook, just copy and paste it into Google+. So another question that I get asked frequently is, what should I post? What kind of content should I post? Where should I get it? What should it say? So the one thing that I'd like to share that I like to follow, and I heard this in a really great LinkedIn webinar that I attended a couple of years ago, is that your content should follow what I refer to as the 3-3-1 rule. And that is that if you're posting 7 days a week, 3 of your posts should make people think something, 3 of your posts should make people feel something or connect with them on an emotional level, and only 1 of those posts you should be asking them to do something or to take an action. I've also heard people refer to this as the 80-20 rule, and that like 80% of your content should be offering something up to people, and only 20% of the time you should be asking them for something in return. But I like the 3-3-1 because it feels a little bit more balanced. Yeah. Sure, so 3 of your posts should make people think something, 3 of your posts should make people feel something, and 1 of your posts you should be asking them to do something. And I like to think of it like this. If you had a friend who every time you saw them, they were asking you for money or asking you to help them move or asking you for a favor, you'd get really burnt out on talking to that friend. And it's the same with businesses or entities that people follow on social media. If you're constantly saying, sign up for my newsletter, come to my event, make a donation, volunteer with us, people are going to get really tired of that kind of messaging. And that's our instinct. That's the kind of stuff that we want to put out there because that's what we really want people to do. But socially, you have to think of it a little differently. It's not all call to action. And if you make it all call to action, you're probably going to see a bit of the opposite effect of a return on your time investment. So in terms of where you can get good content, a couple of categories I like to think of. One is links to content on your own website or blog. This is pretty self-explanatory. Almost all of us are already kind of posting this sort of thing. The other thing I would like to say is that you can share links to other people's content. And some people will think, well, why would I want to send somebody to someone else's website? I want them to come to my website and look at my content. But as an example, for us, if we share an article about stress, and we know that caregivers who come to our organization experience a lot of stress in their lives, they're going to see that article and they're going to think, wow, the Alzheimer's Association shares a lot of really helpful content on their Facebook page. I have to make sure that I follow them because they share tips that really resonate with me. So what you're doing when you share other people's content is you're actually kind of establishing yourself as a useful resource and a thought leader in that space. So it's perfectly okay to share other people's content. In fact, I would argue that it helps increase your credibility among your audience. The other type of content I love to share is a look behind the scenes. If you work at a nonprofit, you probably have tons of great stories of volunteers, of people who participate in your events, of your staff, and I would encourage you to share all of those pictures. One thing that we've even done is like during our walk season, which is our craziest time, there's always a couple of weeks where our lobby has exploded with boxes of supplies that we have yet to unpack. We take a picture of it and we just say, walk season, y'all, and we post it to Instagram and people are like, oh, that's awesome, all of the t-shirts are in, I can't wait for the walk this year. So it's perfectly okay to share those behind the scenes. It'll make you feel human, it'll make people trust you, and it'll, we all know as people who work in a nonprofit that if people trust you, they're more likely to want to give you their money. So you want to really make them feel like you're a human entity that they can relate to, and sharing some of those behind the scenes is a great way to do that. You're also, it's a great idea to share infographics. If you are lucky enough to have some of those already created for you, that's awesome. If you haven't, one tool I highly recommend is called Canva, C-A-N-V-A. And Canva is a tool that's free to nonprofits, and without any graphic design tools or background, you can create really beautiful, good quality looking infographics using Canva. So I would encourage you all to check that out. And then the last one is just inspiring quotes and sayings. You could post something, an inspirational quote and use the hashtag Motivation Monday. That's one that a lot of people use. So that could be something that you could start doing on a regular basis. This is something people like, they share it, they comment on it, they tend to just be really popular. So the other thing I would encourage you to do is to map out your strategy. Some of you are probably hearing all this stuff and thinking, okay, but really, when am I going to have time to do all of this? And what I would say is that if you have a good plan for what kind of content you're going to post when, and you have some tools that I'll share in a little bit about how you can schedule things out in advance to automate some of this, you really shouldn't have to spend more than about an hour per week posting to 1 to 2 channels consistently, like once a day. So what I would suggest you do is plan ahead. Look at the calendar. Look and see, are there certain times a year where you have initiatives or big events coming up and you want to make sure that those are, at the top of your radar? Are there certain holidays, that you want to make sure that you highlight? Maybe you want to make sure that you're doing something for Veterans Day coming up this week, or maybe you want to do something for Thanksgiving, or maybe you want to do something for Father's Day or Mother's Day. Just look at those things, or even you can look to see if there are like fun national months that you could play into, like National Ice Cream Day. Maybe you could do something fun for that. So just take a look at the calendar, block some of those things out in advance, and that'll help you figure out what kind of content you can use. Then I would encourage you to have theme days, like Motivation Monday is a great example that I already talked about, but you could also do Throwback Thursday. A lot of people do that. So every Thursday you could post something about like a previous year's event that you hosted, or you could post something about the history of your organization. There are lots of ways you can think about Throwback Thursday, but those are just two examples of many other things that you can do. If you want to look at things that other people are talking about on different days of the week, just go on Twitter and see what the trending hashtags are that day, and see if maybe there might be an opportunity for you to hop on some of those. So I'm just going to share this. You probably won't be able to read this, but this is a tool that I created with our staff and that we use. And basically for every single month, we came up with about 3 to 4 calls to action that we are asking everyone to do during that month. And I base my social content around that, and I base all of our other marketing activities around those too. So this can just be a really quick way that at a glance you can sort of see like, okay, here's what we're focusing on this month, so I should make sure that my content is at least referencing that, once or twice a week. And then you can even break this down and you can do it like a month at a glance, or you could do it a week at a glance if you want to go that far into creating your content strategy. But just even something general like this is really helpful in wrapping your head around how to come up with what content at what time. And then just a couple of my quick tips for good posts. The first one is pretty self-explanatory. Just sound like a human. If it doesn't pass what I think of as the cocktail party test, meaning if it doesn't sound like something you'd actually say to a person in conversation, you might want to retool a little bit and make it sound a little bit more naturalistic and less kind of cold and clinical. The other thing is you should be interacting with the people you want to know on social media. For me, one of the things that I'm charged with doing is connecting with reporters so that I can get PR and get stories placed for our organization. So I follow a lot of reporters on social media, and if I'm so fortunate that somebody writes a story about my organization on their website, I will share that link, I'll thank that reporter, I'll tag them, I'll give them a shout out. I attended a PR webinar recently where they said that can actually make reporters more likely to write about you again in the future, because as we've all kind of seen, reporters these days are gauged on how many clicks they get on their content. So if you're sharing an article, they're going to be getting more clicks, and they're going to think, wow, it was really great. When I wrote that article about the Alzheimer's Association, I got a lot more clicks. So maybe I'll want to write about them again in the future. But that's just one example. You should be interacting with your sponsors or prospective sponsors. You should be interacting with donors that are donating at a high level. There are lots of different groups of people that you should and can be interacting with as a nonprofit, and also as yourself if you're interested in doing that. Like for me, when I interact with reporters, I do that from my own personal Twitter profile, but I have our chapter and my title right in my Twitter bio, so people know that they can make that connection between me and my organization. The other thing is to be responsive. If someone takes the time to leave a comment on something that you posted, as long as it's not something that's potentially hurtful or negative or defamatory, take a moment to just say thank you so much for sharing, appreciate your support, or something simple like that. It just makes sure that they know that they're heard, that you took the time to read what they left for you and respond to that, and that also goes a long way to build goodwill as well. If you do have some negative comments or something that you think might be hurtful, I would actually encourage you to not respond to those, just because when you respond to a comment, it pushes it to the top of the comment section on that post. So if it's something that you don't really want people to notice or call attention to, but it's not so bad that you want to actually remove it from the comment section, I would just leave it alone and not respond to that. But of course, if it is something that you think might be potentially hurtful, it's fine to go ahead and remove that comment. And then I would encourage you to use photos, but don't steal. It's really easy to just do a Google search, find a picture, grab it, and share it on your social network. But if you don't own that image, you could potentially be putting yourself, your organization, in a position of liability. This whole presentation is made with images that I got from several free stock image sites that I use, and I'll share links to those in just a second so you can take advantage of those as well. And then last but not least, some of my tips for great posts: use videos or GIFs or things that move. There's a phenomenon that we often, that I've heard among social media circles, that things that move are what we call thumb stocking. You're scrolling through your newsfeed, and we probably all had this experience. Something moves, it catches your eye, you stop scrolling for a second, and you're like, oh, what's that? Shiny, flashing, what is that? So that's the kind of stuff that you want to make sure that you're incorporating into your post, because it will catch people's attention. So here are just some of my time-saving social tools, and I'll just kind of put them all up here so you guys can write them down or take a picture, and I'll talk about them individually here. So scheduling tools that I like: Hootsuite and Buffer are both great. They're both free for nonprofits or for people who just have a couple of different social accounts that they would like to manage, and they allow you to schedule things out in advance. The free stock image sites that I like are StockSnap, Pexels, and Pixabay are three that are really great, totally royalty-free, really beautiful photography. A lot of it's even high resolution, so you can use it for print. For graphics, GIFs, and videos, I already mentioned Canva. WordSwag is a really cool app you can download for your phone that allows you to put text over top of a picture. So that one's really handy. GIFmaker.me is a website where you can upload still images and text and turn it into an animated GIF. The iMovie app is great for editing short little videos that you can share for your nonprofit without any video editing experience necessary, which is really great. And Video Hands is basically like Instagram filters for videos. It's an app you can get for your phone, and even if your video is not, super fancy, you just take it with your iPhone, you can apply some of these Video Hands filters and it'll make it look really cool. Does anyone need more time on this slide? Raise your hand if you do. Okay, I'll give you just another second. Do a little song, a little dance. Batman's head on a lance. Sorry, Batman reference. And I've just creeped everyone out in the room. Okay, so my paid advertising tips for all of you. So the first thing I would suggest is try a boosted post. A boosted post is a really easy way for you to dip your toe into the water of paid advertising. You can boost a post for as little as $5 or $10, and you'll often see a really great return on investment for that. And as you're trying to figure out what posts to boost, what I would recommend is that you look at your Facebook insights and boost your best content. What content is already performing really well? That's probably going to give you a really good return on investment for your boosted post. The other thing I would suggest that you do is, just take a look and see if Facebook is suggesting any posts that you want to boost, because they will do that. If you have a post that's performing really well, you may have noticed that Facebook will say, this post is performing better than 90% of your other content. Would you like to boost it now? Give that a try and just see if that might be effective at getting more eyeballs of the people who already like your page and are invested in you onto your content. And then if you decide to try a bigger campaign, the thing that's so great about Facebook advertising is that it is highly targetable. And the more that you fine-tune your targeting, the better your results are going to be. You can target by demographics, you can target by behaviors, you can also target by interests. And while you may think that you're just casting a smaller net every time you put those in, what you're actually doing is you're spending your advertising dollars the most efficiently that you can, because there's very little waste at that point. You're not showing your ad to anybody who's not already interested in what it is that you have to say or what it is that you're offering. So I would just encourage you to play around with the Facebook targeting options and just target. And then, as I mentioned before, if it moves, it'll be thumb stopping. So I'd really encourage you to try doing a promoted video or using a video in an ad campaign that you're doing. That could be really effective at getting eyeballs on your ad and getting people to click through to your website. We did some of that during our walk season this last year, and it was really, really effective for us. And then the other thing that's really great about Facebook advertising is that unlike traditional media like a print ad or a billboard, or even some digital ads if you're buying that through an agency, the nice thing about Facebook ads is you can modify them literally on the fly. You can watch how an ad is performing, and if you notice that it's not really doing what you wanted it to do, or it's not really reaching a ton of people, you can modify your creative. You can edit the copy of your ad and then hit save, and it'll be live again within probably 10-15 minutes. You can also, look at your targeting. You can modify that as you go, but I would just encourage you to look and see how your ads are doing along the way, and just make little tweaks and see what's actually working for you. And then the last thing that I'll share, and then I'm going to pass the mic over to Maggie, and she's going to share some of the real-world examples from our nonprofit, is to just use your insights. The nice thing about all of the social networks that are out there these days is that almost all of them come baked in with some insights that you can use and look at for your nonprofit. Without having to pay for a fancy tool that allows you to dig really deep into that, which you certainly can do if you have the budget, but if you work in a nonprofit, you probably don't. So you can find out things like, the just average age and gender of the people who are on your social media accounts, but you can also find out things like what day of the week they're visiting your page more often, or what time of the day they're visiting your page, and then you can make sure that your content is going out at those times and on those days. And that can be a really good way to make sure that you're having the best chance of your content getting the most eyes on it as possible. And then I just would like to encourage you to know what your goals are. So is your goal to get lots of likes and comments and shares on your content, to get lots of engagement? Or is your goal to get lots of clicks through to your website so that people are actually reading your, reading what you've got on your website, or your, blog, or whatever it might be? Or is your goal to get donations? Whatever it is, and you might think, well, I want all of those things. And that's great, but I would suggest that you should prioritize one. Think, okay, for us, our goal is really to get people to click through our website. So I want to look at our content, and I want to see which posts are doing the best at getting people to click. And that's the kind of content that I'm going to work on prioritizing and trying to create on a regular basis. So just know kind of what you're hoping to achieve with your social media, and make sure that you're kind of tweaking it accordingly as you go along. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Maggie, and she's going to share some examples of what has worked for us and what might hopefully work for you as well.
Thank you, Sam. So we know that Sam just went through all the different types of social media that we can use. So we wanted to give you some real life examples. Larry Johnson said that fundraising is not really about the money, it's about the people. And so we're telling people stories, especially with our organization. That's how we're reaching people. But we want them to know that we're drinking the purple juice, and we want them to drink it too. So that's how we really attack social media. We're part of a national organization, but we also have a local following. So especially with Walk to End Alzheimer's and some of our other signature events, we use some local Facebook. So for example, we have a chapter like page, but we have 11 events throughout the state, and they all wanted to connect with each other locally, so we started groups for them. And that way, people are able to share content a little bit easier. How do I do this?
Just the arrow.
Arrow.
I can arrow for you.
Arrow over?
Yeah.
Or down. All right, there we go. Okay.
Do you want me to do this?
No, thank you. So events, whether it's a peer-to-peer fundraiser or a lavish event or something, we're designing that atmosphere for people to have the opportunity to interact. And I feel that that's the same thing about social too. We're creating this opportunity for people to really connect to your mission, to connect with each other. And so they can do that through sharing of infographics, pictures, snaps, all of those great things. We wouldn't be who we are and what we do without our volunteers. So we use social media to engage volunteers. LinkedIn is a great opportunity for us, things like Volunteer Match also, but LinkedIn I've been able to put out there on my profile that I'm interested in Alzheimer's, and somebody can search for me to come volunteer for me. So if you're not doing that, that's something that you really should be doing. We're also using it for corporate partnerships that, that's a way for us to get into a larger company or, meet some different people. So that's a great way. Has anybody ever heard of Boomerang? A couple people? Okay, so if you're on Facebook or Instagram really, and you see like these crazy jerky videos that just like return back and forth, that's Boomerang, and I couldn't figure out how to get it there, but there's lots of different tools that we can use to get this excitement going. So we did this on Walk Day to show like just how excited we are. This is one of our top fundraisers, one of our co-chairs, and we just wanted to put faces with people's names. They got a lot of emails from me, but they needed to know who I was and why I was doing things. So here's another example. Sam was talking about kind of the themes, tagging people. and getting a way to share that. So Motivation Monday, another one is Make a Difference Monday that we've used. And if you start this, your followers and your constituents will kind of jump on board. A lot of times my committee or my volunteers or the walkers, they beat me to Motivation Monday post. I can't even do it before they do it. So that's really exciting. This is another, this is actually made on Canva that Sam was talking about, that free graphic. But we were trying to drive some more funds after our event. So this is a campaign that we did. Everybody likes a deal, right? Everybody likes something that you can only get somewhere and feel exclusive. This was a campaign that we only did on our walk page. So you had to follow our walk to be eligible for this and win the gift card and do all of that stuff. So making it different than your email campaign, not just posting every single thing that you send out an email also on your Facebook, has been a little success, or has been a lot successful for us. Also, Sam said finding evangelists. Like, that's something that we really do. We can't tell this story about our disease without people that are affected by this disease and putting faces to these diseases. So these are some of our top-notch volunteers. One of them is our sponsor, but I didn't even post this. They posted that, which is really nice that they could get that, and we had lots of engagement there. So we're showing those wins of people. We're telling those stories and really letting them do that. See what I'm doing here? That I'm letting them do it, so I don't have to do it as the content manager, which is really helpful. I love Facebook for events. On my volunteer committee, I've got probably 12 to 20 people, depending on the committee. I had each of them start an event on their own Facebook page in addition to the one that I had started in the group. So that meant that 20 people had the same event out there on Facebook, reaching different people, really spreading out my net. And as long as you are giving them the correct content or the right information, then they can do that themselves. So that was another really great way for us to use Facebook and kind of flood Facebook with our event. So this is just a screenshot of some of the different types of things that we've done, that variety that Sam was talking about. What speaks to me is going to speak to you differently. So making sure that you're including lots of variety, lots of different things. There's things there that were infographics. The second page, or the second picture over on the top, was where we were at with our fundraising. But again, that was just one ask. Out of all the other pictures, they weren't all, hey, we're almost there, hey, we're almost there. Video versus infographics. Sam touched on this a bit, but sharing additional contents or links, really double checking those to see which ones are being shared the most has been really great for us, and kind of linking ourselves up and creating community partners and creating what did you say, credibility for each other. So I'm seeing which of those are trending the best. Okay, and I put this screenshot on here. Here we go, pretty picture. But live Facebook has been something that was really scary for us, for me. I did not want to do it, but I have had so much engagement from it that if you can just put yourself out there and put your organization out there, it's putting a face with a name again, and people would walk up to me and go, you're the girl from the video. Hey, I saw your video. Gosh, thanks so much for sharing that. So, you know, it's a conversation starter. If we're out there, we're marketing our business, we're marketing our mission, then it's important for us to put ourselves out there too. Another one, awesome. I used YouTube originally. I was trying to figure out how to train my 300 volunteers all at once. And I didn't want to do that on walk day, so I made a YouTube video. Well, then I was at a conference last week, and they said something about if you're not marketing on YouTube, you're already behind the bend, wherever you should be. So it's kind of shaping our thought for the next couple of months, like how else could we use YouTube? And it doesn't have to be fancy. That's why I didn't want to do it, because it had to be, you know, this big special production. I'm not a video editor. I don't know how to do this, but I did this just sitting at my desk. And again, people walked up to me and said, hi Maggie, so nice to meet you. And I'm looking at them like, I don't know who they are. Well, they saw my video. They knew who I was, so they felt comfortable enough to come talk to me. And then the next is Instagram. Instagram is the best. I think it's so easy, it's so great to tell a story, and it's really engaging people in a different way. People don't have to think about it. Let's just look at a pretty picture. Tagging is really connecting people in a different way that it wouldn't before. So it's really connecting you with those other communities. I think I have another one on here. This is one of my favorite Instagram pictures that we have. This is telling one heck of a story, and I didn't even have to say anything. this is exactly what we want people to see, and that for them to go, gosh, I wish I'd been there. That looks awesome. We didn't have to say anything. So little things, and that was just somebody standing up real quick and taking a picture and throwing it up on our Instagram. It really drove some engagement for us. Before I was a nonprofit ninja for the Alzheimer's Association, I was a wedding planner. Pinterest is like the thing for wedding, right? Every single every single bride has many, many boards. It's not just for farmhouse decor or recipes or the endless kids crafts that are fails over here. Yeah. That's not all it's about. If you go on Pinterest and you search your organization, I bet people have boards about you already. So you can use that to connect with each other and connect with them, fundraising ideas, different things like that. And then the last one is something we tried this year. Kids these days are talking about snapping. That's Snapchat. What the heck is that? So we tried it at a couple of our walks this year. Let's just throw it out there. Let's see what kind of frames we have. So there's little, if you're not on Snapchat, you take a picture and it adds this like funny face or frame around it. So we threw together a frame and we were able to really be specific. This is our Ann Arbor site where our walk was. So that's what that little thing is. We had 12,000 views from one day. And the best part about this, it was $27. 12,000 views, like that's, you can't ask for that. You can't ask for anything better. So, and 49% of the people that saw it were like, oh yeah, I'll use that filter. What great exposure that was for all the people that weren't at the event that went, huh, you went to that walk to end Alzheimer's? Gee, maybe I should go next time. So I think that is all the real life examples that we had. Does anybody have any questions for Sam or I about anything that we talked about? Yeah.
Have you ever had any problems with using Google Advanced Image Search for labeled for reuse, for modification, even commercially, in terms of a source for stock images? That's primarily because a lot of what we do is dealing with disaster relief and things like that. So going to the government sources for that shows up very quickly on doing that style of search. So I would.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anyone else in the room has experience with that. For us, we typically don't use Google Advanced Image Search as a way to find images, just because we typically are not looking for things that are tied to a specific event in that way. So I don't know, does anybody else in the room have any experience using Google Advanced Image Search?
What is it? How do you get it?
It's Google Advanced Image Search. There's basically, it's a way to search Google for images, and then you can scroll all the way down and click on what type of, how the image is labeled, and you can select if it's labeled for reuse with modification, which basically means you're allowed to use it, reuse it, modify it, do whatever you want with it. But yeah, I've been shying away from looking at trying to make a decision on stock image sources and just using that for on the spot stuff. And I didn't know, but yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I don't
mean,
mean to confuse anyone.
No, for us, I want whatever I don't even have to worry about or lose any sleep over. So, I just use these sites that I know are free, that I know the images are quality, and I know that I'm not going to have an issue. But I have heard of people using the Google Image Search as a way to find stuff that they can use for content. If it says that it's free for use, I would assume it's probably okay, and you're probably not going to get in trouble for it. But, don't use my name if they come after you.
Sam says.
Very front, and then Mel, got two questions. Go ahead.
We have a Facebook page, and I tend to post as the org, but it almost looks like maybe you're posting as yourselves.
So for the chapter page, I am posting as the organization, but I use very much my own voice as the way that I'm talking about our organization, so it sounds more like it's coming from a person. Like I'll say, we are so excited about this, so it's kind of, more of a group thing than just like me. But for Maggie, because she is the walk manager and she's out in the community and she's the face of these events, for the Facebook groups, she does use her own personal Facebook account to connect and relate with the people who are engaged in this. And one thing that you could do, and some of our walk managers have done this in the past, is create a professional Facebook account, not a page, but a professional account for yourself. So that way you can keep that separation between personal and professional. And really it's just a matter of your own personal preference. For me, I am Facebook friends with our board members and with our volunteers, and I'm just really careful about what content I post on my personal Facebook page, but I do use it as a tool to connect with people that I'm connected with through my organization as well as personally.
Elmo, last question.
I'm Elmo from Ping Pong Palace, and first of all, I want to thank you for a very nice presentation. And I'd love to host a fundraiser for you folks, so let's get together later on. Ping pong.
Question, ask a question.
The question
Elmo.
is, I love this stuff, but I don't want to do it myself. How much would it cost for somebody to do it? Is it a part-time person? Is it an hourly person? Is it a staff member? What do you recommend? Ballpark prices.
Sure, so as you're first getting started, my recommendation to you would be to, maybe see if there might be a student through like the School of Communications at the University of Michigan who would be willing to do it to try to get some experience and exposure, and that might be an internship position that would be an unpaid position, and you might be able to, with a little bit of oversight, have that person help manage your accounts, or it could be a volunteer position, so you could do it for very low cost. If you wanted to hire someone, I would suggest you could probably, as you're getting started, hire a consultant or somebody to manage that for you. And the prices vary, but you might be paying anywhere from $50 to $100 an hour for that. So if you're spending, like I said, about an hour a week, you can kind of figure that accordingly. But I would suggest you start with volunteers or interns as a way to, kind of get going on that.
Oh, 1 second.
Sure.
All right, could you please put your hands together for Samantha and Maggie? I asked them, they both said that they would stick around for a few minutes, so if you do have some additional questions, the ladies will be up here to answer your questions. So we appreciate the information that was shared. That was outstanding information. We all use social media in our personal lives and in our business lives, and those were outstanding tips, so we thank you guys for sharing all that information. So what we do now as part of LA2M is building our community. So what we do is we pass the microphone around, and we'll ask you just to stand up, give us your name, give us your organization. If you have a quick ask or need, you can share that with the group, and we ask that you just pass it to the person next to you so that we can get around the room in about the next 12 minutes. And then I have a few closing announcements. So we'll start right up here with Adam.
Hello, I'm Adam. I am from the Book Industry Charitable Foundation. We are a national nonprofit based in Ann Arbor that helps booksellers with emergencies, whether we're helping with disaster relief like the hurricanes, the wildfires. We're doing stuff, we're national, we can help in Puerto Rico, so we're working there as well. I'm a communication coordinator, so basically I'm doing all of that stuff. I'm still fairly new to the position, but if anybody wants to talk about how awesome it is to help booksellers and the kind of things we do. I mean, it's not just fires, it's dental emergencies, it's you gotta leave your house because you're relocating, like anything that happens that's gonna affect your life, we're helping booksellers because they don't make a lot of money and we need to be a safety net for them because bookselling is important. We're fostering literacy and community in all these places. So yeah, I can go on for hours about it. I'm the Corey.
Hi, my name is Corey, and I'm from BDB Web Design and Marketing, and we actually can consult and help people who are challenged with keeping their content up to date.
Hi, I'm Michelle Pariseau. I'm a freelance art director and designer, and I work with the Cancer Organization. And we rehab, retrain, and rehome thoroughbred xray horses. And we're a nonprofit organization. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michelle Austin, and I work at the Law School of Business at the Sanger Leadership Center. I'm the marketing manager, and my goal is to get our students at U of M signed up for leadership development programs outside of their curriculum.
I'm Glenn Dugal, Marketing Director at the Center for Social Impact at Ross School of Business, and we partner with nonprofits to make a social impact in places like Detroit and Flint. And we also sort of operate like a nonprofit, so that's why I'm here.
Hi, I'm Nancy Rojas Fairley, and I'm a freelance creative and marketing professional, and I haven't had much exposure to the nonprofit world, so I appreciate what you did today. Thank you.
My My name is Mary Christensen Design. I'm a freelance graphic designer, and I work with nonprofit customers helping do branding and image making. And I just need to know more about social media. So thank you.
I'm Jason West. I work at Design Hub, a little design firm in Saline, and we do a lot of work with nonprofits, so this was very helpful. Although I'm also married to Sam, so I heard all this last night.
Cheater.
I like the transparency there. Excellent presentation. I'm actually in career transition right now. My name is Linda Baker, and I work for a nonprofit, so that was great from that perspective. It was just great information as far as how to brand yourself personally, professionally. So right now I'm just gathering information, and I might attack a few of you after.
Hi, I'm Heidi Rood. I'm with Ozone House. We're an organization for homeless and at-risk youth here in Washtenaw County, and we helped over 4,000 youth in our county last year. So I think that's too big of a number, but I'm glad that we're here for them. I appreciate your presentation today. I think our challenges are turning all of our social media into dollars. So I feel like we have a really nice following right now, and I've worked really hard on the content. It's converting those people into donors, which is the challenge.
Hi, I'm Margie Wisniewski, and I am the owner of Blue Zebra Marketing Solutions, and we do social media there as well for small businesses in the area and nonprofits. And I also dabble in graphic design and website consulting and pretty much the full gamut of marketing, so happy to be here.
Well, my name is Timothy House, and happy to be here. It's been a while since I've been to LA2M. Good presentation today. It was very well thought out. I help to manage paid advertising campaigns with like Facebook and also Google AdWords, and also am quite good at figuring out ways to be able to turn those visitors into dollars, as I do a lot with like positioning and making sure that you're reaching the right people and you're standing out from other organizations. So if you're looking for help with that, come see me. Thanks.
Hi everybody, I'm Dennis Hoffman, 20-year-plus veteran with McCann Worldwide. I have my own business now doing ABC, advertising, branding, communications, and I'm thinking about getting back into corporate America. So I'm looking at people such as ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn, and other organizations like that where the background kind of aligns. So I'm in the same boat as you.
Hi everyone, my name is Kimber, and I own Key Community Marketing. We focus on creating opportunities and also developing business for organizations through relationship building and management, collaboration, and also community outreach. The work is exciting and it's a fresh approach to marketing. And the partnerships that we create have the added bonus of making a positive impact on our community. Thank you. I appreciate your presentation.
Hello everyone, I'm Erin Lawson, and I'm here with my coworkers Laura and Mona, and we're from Imagine Fitness and Yoga. We're a fitness facility on the west side of town, and we're focused on convincing everybody that leading a healthy, fitness-centered lifestyle is for everybody. You don't have to have any experience. We welcome everybody to our community, and so we're trying to reach as many people as possible, so we're very thankful for the information you shared today. Thank you.
I'm Rhonda Foxworth from Bank of Ann Arbor, and a big fan of Samantha.
I'm Brad Jurgensen. I'm from Parrish Advertising and Design, and what we do is pretty self-explanatory from the name of our company. And I've also worked with Samantha for a while, and nice job today.
I'm going to just do this from my chair. I'm Susan Harris. I'm here because I'm interested in all this.
I'll break the trend since I think we're last, right? My name is Doris Galvin, and I'm the D in D&B Strategic Marketing, and this is my partner Bridget in D&B Strategic Marketing. And we too are providing support to for-profit and nonprofit businesses. We're based in Chelsea. We're focused on business to business and business to customer opportunities and trying to help our customers get their arms around social media challenges. Thank you. And thank you for your presentation. It was wonderful.
Hi, my name is George Pariseau. My company is Brainstream Creative, and I focus on helping small businesses plan their video around all this social media fun stuff you see. So, in other words, I offer strategic planning and well as creative storytelling, and finally, tools and systems to help you track and measure your results beyond what you can get off of YouTube. I'm an award-winning storyteller and editor, and I've achieved results for my clients in the past and would love a chance to achieve some results for you.
I'm Carter Sherwood in Frog Front Studios, and I'm a commercial editorial portrait photographer, videographer, sometimes drone pilot. Pretty much covers anything except for weddings. I don't shoot weddings. I suppose unless I get paid enough for that. But they're dangerous. Anyway, and that would cover stuff for social media particularly. If you're a runner or if you're into golf, you've probably seen the local races and tournaments.
Thank you, Carter. So both Carter and George volunteered their time today and their expertise in video and photography, so we appreciate you both being here today and helping out. George, thanks for filling in for Roger. Again, if you could please put your hands together for this.